That was from Entebbe. Vaccines are formed as a disease-causing mechanism meant to provoke the body to produce cells to fight against future infections. In the process, the body will respond by fighting the newly introduced vaccines, which explains the side effects. But scientists say there's no need to worry since the vaccines used against COVID-19 are not harmful if administered professionally. Hassan Kagure speaks to the experts and those that have been vaccinated and has filed this report.
On 11th March 2020, World Health Organization declared COVID-19 a viral infectious disease, first reported in Wuhan, China, towards the end of 2019, a global pandemic. This acute respiratory infection, which was reported in the country on 21st March 2020, has been dubbed the third war of contemporary times. Nevertheless, it was a test to scientists' capacity to condense a minimum period of over 20 years to come up with vaccines.
I also want to mention that there is something that we call rapid response in terms of when we have an epidemic like COVID. If we don't respond very quickly, it might become a disaster to human existence. So in normal times, it would take 6 to 12 or even more years to come up with a vaccine. But in this kind of public health emergency like epidemics, we have to fast track the process of vaccine approval.
To be specific, their stages include first phase clinical trial, where a drug is tested on a health group of about 80 people. To Professor Robert, the professor of clinical pharmacy, this is to ensure the safety of the drug on patients before last stages, which require huge population.
And after that is done, you would realize that it would have been 6 years or even more to have gone through the 3 stages, and then we submit an application for approval. Trust me, no vaccine can be approved without due diligence. I took the vaccine myself, and I had very mild and short-term side effects. I had a fever. Within 24 hours, the fever subsided.
Nonetheless, vaccination is not a new phenomenon, as it dates way back in 1796 when Edward Jenner, a British physician, successfully made a vaccina virus against smallpox. Common type of vaccines include virus vaccines, where the virus is injected in human body to provoke it produce antibodies to fight viruses.
When the vaccines reach the body, they interact with the organs, and the main response is produce antibodies, which will remain in your body. It is like security. It will be on standby to fight. Organism will actually be defeated before it infects you. But when you get it, it will be a mild case. You're likely not to get very severe symptoms.
Others are protein subsets, virus where part of virus is introduced in the body, and most important vaccine is nucleic acidic vaccines being used to vaccinate against COVID-19.
What it simply means is we take a certain protein, we inject it into the human body, and that messenger would help the body manufacture what we call an antigen, which resembles the virus. Once we have that in the system, then the body would react to that antigen and produce antibodies, and those antibodies is what produces the immunity against the virus.
The vaccine that has been introduced is foreign to the body. And the immune system will try to fight whatever has been introduced into the body. So that is the basis of the swelling that we get, the pain. When it happens, actually, it is proof that your body is responding, because that's what you need. You need the body to respond.
Having announced vaccination program in March, Rosemary, a resident of Mbarara City, considers herself among the first people to get vaccinated.
A wise person always take advice. You are advised to get home and put on your mask, and you don't put it on. If you die, you will be questionable for that.
At 84, she believes she's now saved from the devastating effects of COVID-19, although skeptical on it being the last pandemic.
It's neither the first one, nor the last one. Because we are still on this earth. We have faced all problems we meet. Today we are laughing, tomorrow we will be crying.
But even when she did not develop side effects, a health team followed up to be sure she was well.
You find maybe someone develops a fever, and then if someone like that calls us, then we can tell him to use some of those, like Panadol and other medicines. But we've not heard of such serious issues ever since we started giving people the COVID-19 vaccines at the Bar Regional Referral Hospital.
If you get those mild symptoms, you can usually take an antipyretic or a pain medication, an analgesic, to calm the pain. For example, paracetamol can help you reduce the pain and the swelling and the fever. Otherwise, you can use what we call a cold compress, an ice pack put on the injection site.
Most Ugandans are now embracing COVID-19 vaccines, and this is explained by the huge turn-ups at most vaccination centers.
I remember that when we were giving the first people on 12th, which included the first person who got the vaccine here was our hospital director. People who saw them getting the jabs were saying that, well, let's sacrifice these ones, let's give them as a sample. And so they observed them over time, and they testified that actually they are fine.
I had to take an initiative as someone who was going to school to embrace what scientists have come up with. Because if I don't go for the vaccine as a person who was going to school, I don't expect my grandmother to also go for the vaccine.
Previous studies conducted by Makerere University reveal that COVID-19 vaccination has lowered COVID deaths by 55%.
The way it works is, those who have received especially their first doses, okay, their recovery is faster. Okay? The oxygen needs are lower. It is true that they may be admitted, but I have observed that the oxygen needs are lower. Somebody may be like on 5 liters of oxygen. But somebody who is severely sick, especially those who are not vaccinated, and require 30 liters of oxygen.
Government's target is to vaccinate 21,936,011 people out of close to 46 million Ugandans to fully reopen the economy. However, amidst Ugandans' morale to gear up for jabs, close to 2.5 million doses have been administered as per Ministry of Health figures. Story by Halson Kagure for the news.